hello. This is Alyson-ASMR, and today is going to be pretty simple. I'm just going to be reading from one of my favorite books, and probably the only book I ever remember really enjoying when I was younger. It's called White Oleander by Janet Fitch. So, it'll be a mixture of inaudible whispers and just some normal whispers. Let's see what I can get out. Okay. After the last visit, I was afraid. I didn't know if I could do that again. What if she was still like that, a zombie? I couldn't stand that, and I'm afraid of the prison, the bars, the hands snaking between them, clinging their cups. How could my mother live there? My mother who arranged white flowers in a crackled glass vase, crackled glass vase, crackled glass vase, crackled glass vase, tongue twister. Who could argue for hours about whether Frost was an important poet? But I knew how, drugged, sitting in a corner, vaguely reciting her poems, plucking pills of fuzz off the blanket. That's how. Or being senseless, being senseless by guards, or other prisoners she didn't know when to lie low, avoid the radar. And what if she didn't want to see me? What if she blamed me for not being able to help her? It had been 8 months since that day at the jail, when she didn't even recognize me. At one point in the night, I even thought of not going, but at 5 I got up, showered, and dressed. Remember, no jeans, nothing blue. The star reminded me the night before. You want to walk back out of there, don't you? I didn't need reminding. I wore my new pink dress, my bra, and my Daisy Duck shoes. I wanted to show her I was growing up. I could take care of myself. I could take care of myself. I could take care of myself. The van came at 7. Star got up and signed the papers when the driver eyed her figure in her bathrobe. There was no other kid in the van. I took the seat in front of him, also by the window. We picked up 3 more on the way out. The day was overcast, June gloom, the moisture in the air beating on the windshield. Okay, we'll read this page. The lizard in the jar did push-ups, then grew very still. Isolated, you could see how perfect it was, every small scale and row of etched toenails. Made special by virtue in its imprisonment. Above us the mountain loomed, a solemn presence. If I found I looked at it in a certain way, I could feel its huge shouldered mass moving toward me. Green polka dots of sage gleamed from its flanks. A puff of breeze came up, a bird screamed. The jet profile gave off a hot, fresh smell. I walked down the wash, wandering between boulders, warmed in the sun. I leaned my cheek against one, imagining becoming so still, so quiet as this, indifferent to where the river dumped me after the last storm. The biggest boy was suddenly beside me. Careful of the rattlesnakes, they like those rocks. Careful of the rattlesnakes, they like those rocks. I moved away from the rock. The western diamondback is the largest of the American vipers, he said, but they rarely strike above the ankle. Just watch where you're going and don't climb on the rocks, or if you do, watch where you put your hands. Do like this. He took a small rock and knocked it on the nearest boulder as if knocking down a door. They'll avoid you if they can. Also look out for scorpions. Shake your shoes before you put them on, especially outside. I looked at him closely. This skinny freckled boy, a bit younger than me, trying to decide if he wanted to scare me, but he seemed more interested in impressing me. With how smart he was, I kept walking along, looking at the shapes, the boulders made in the blue of their shadows. I had the sense that they were inhabited, like people inside. Inhabited, that's a good word. Inhabited. Like people in hiding. The boy followed me. Rabbit, he said, pointing down at the dust. I could barely make out the blurred markings, 2 larger prints followed by a smaller one, and then another. Some Busta Rhymes. back, vaguely rabbit-like himself. He was a boy who showed up in front of a TV or in a library, but he could read the Bill does the way another kid would read a comic book, the way my mother reads cards. I wish you could read my fortune in the dust. You see a lot, I said. He smiled. He was a boy who wanted to be seen. He told me his name was Davy. He was Star's real son. There was a girl, the other two wanted to be a foster like me, but our natural children had been in foster care when Star was in rehab. How many children had this happen to? How many children like me were like me, floating like plankton in the wide ocean? I thought what to do was the links were between mother and child, between friends and family, between things that you think were eternal. Everything could be lost more easily than anyone could imagine. We walked on. We walked on. David pulled at a bush with bright yellow flowers. Dear, we'd be family. The breeze came up the canyon, making the trees flicker, green and gray, Palo Verde. I lost my place. Palo Verde's got the green bark, the others ironwood. The quiet solidness of the mountain, the white butterflies, the green scent of floral sumac, which Davy informed me the local Indians had used to sweeten the air with their wikiups. Clumps of giant ryegrass, still green, but already crackling like fire, crackling like fire, crackling like fire. Two hawks circled the seamless blue sky, screaming. Burped, sorry. That night, motifs of cowboys on broncos, lariats, and spurs decorated my sleeping bag bed, where I lay zipper open to the coolness, watching Carolee, 16 years old, as tall as her mother, a sullen girl with pouty lips, zipping her top, thinks she's going to crown me. Carolee said to her reflection, that's what she thinks. On the other side of our thin wall, the mother and her hippie boyfriend were making love, the headboard knocking against the partition. It was not the night magic, my mother and her young men murmuring to strains of Imperial Kodo in the scented dust. Carolee's mouth twisted into something not quite a smile, her boot on her bed. She was doing the laces. She posed in front of the mirror, lowered the zipper of her top an inch, so it showed the well. She bared her teeth and wiped them with her finger. A dirt bike whined, and she pushed the screen out, climbed onto her dresser, narrowly missing her basket of makeup. See you in the morning, don't close the window. I got up and watched her on the dirt bike disappearing up the road. It was wide and white in the moonlight, the darkness of the mountains darker than the sky, a perfect vanishing point of the road with the telephone poles. Imagine you could follow the road through the vanishing point, come out somewhere else entirely. That she said today. Star was saying that she got in front of a semi, which put it just with its air horn. They got the odds of truth. They taken my kids. I was ready for roadkill. I sat the passenger seat of Star's Ford Dorito while Carolee slouched in the back, ankle bracelet glittering, a present for her boyfriend Derek. Star drove too fast. Pumping up the road, a chain smoked, Benson and Hedges, 100s from a cold pack, listening to Christian radio. One more page. Or one more paragraph. The rains passed. Now in the nights, the new watch sky showed all its stars. The boys and I stood out in the darkest part of the clay muddy yard, listening to the runoff of the Tuhanga. Out in the dark beyond the trees, heavy pancakes of mud congealed around